trying to be kind of, dangerously optimistic and really push yourself. I love that. That's the heart of it all. You've got to believe in yourself. And that come in spades from Craig. It was absolutely fantastic. And the team around me, kind of written on my phone, that you can win the Mull Rally. That was on my screensaver because I kind of had to just get that in and start believing it, Now, after I won the rally, I thought there's an interesting part of psychology there. The terminology that I used, I can win the Mull Rally rather than I will win it. So I knew in myself that I can win it and give it 3 years and some more seat time and a bit more cash. But I wasn't necessarily thinking that I was going to win it straight away. Hello, everybody. So I'm Fergus Barlow, and I am this year's most recent winner of the Beatson's Mull Rally.
Mull Rally, why is it special? It's on a little island up there, up north somewhere near Scotland. But tell us, for people that don't even know what Mull is, just give us a quick overview, not just of the rally, but obviously tell us where you live and a little bit about growing up on Mull and what the rally means.
Okay, so I've grown up on Mull, and I lived on Mull for the best part of 20 years of my life. I was actually almost born on the lifeboat, because that's the way things happen on an island. It's very, very untoward and very, unusual the way that life goes on here. There's lots of pros and lots of negatives. And, as far as like industry and, the commercial aspect on the island, it's, very, very different to what you have available on the mainland. So, there's not a lot of, certain jobs available. If you want to kind of better your career or move on in certain industries, you're very, very limited in sense that you have to kind of go onto the mainland and kind of spread your wings a bit. But what you lose out in some things, you gain drastically in community and spirit. And this place has it in spades. It really does. There's such a fantastic community of people all around here that all get together. And through the events that happen through the year, you have, the New Year parties, you have the music festivals, you have, countless activities and big things that go on through the season. You've got cruise boats and cruise ships, a massive tourism aspect to the island, which really just, totally keeps the place going. And then that culminates, and you'll believe it or not, I work for Calmac on the ferries, and we actually adjust our timetable so that we don't want a winter reduced timetable until after the Mull Rally. That's how important this rally is. And, growing up, I kind of was around, obviously, the rally. All the years that I can remember, there was either folks staying at the house and they had the car in the garden and they were kind of building and mechanicking it. And, as a young lad getting stuck in and about it and desperate for a run in the car. And we were running, we're going down, at the little junction down the road, and we're getting autographs in a little sheet from every single driver, and every single one says, yeah, we're going to cheer you on. Well, we had about 100 names in there, but we're cheering everyone on anyway, so it was good. And basically what I'm kind of saying is that it's such a huge part of island life, and an important part is the Mull Rally. Motorsport is extremely in the blood of everyone that lives here. It's probably not on the level of, let's say, the Isle of Man TT, for example, but it's a similar kind of idea. For people that haven't visited the island, it's very kind of arduous and aggressive roads. It's a tarmac rally, single track roads, very mixed surface. And the time of year in October, when it happens every year, the weather is just, they call it, Mull weather. We've literally had, 4 seasons in one day. You can start a stage and it'd be sunshine, then rain as you come up the hill towards the end of Greeben, and then it could be frosty at the top. You can literally have the full whack. It's, a seriously challenging event. And it's a lot of it historically has been done through the night, and that's a massive appeal for the event. That's what separates the Mull Rally from the rest. You're setting off at 7 o'clock at night on the Friday night with the headlamps on, and you're straight into it. It's kind of like the shock of capture. If you're not rallying all the time, you're going in, what's going on here? You try to figure out where you're going. And I think, all these aspects bring into the uniqueness and, the beautiful aspect of this event. It's in my blood. I love it. As you can tell, I'm extremely passionate about the Mull Rally. And I'd like to just kind of touch on, Damien had some lovely sentiments to say earlier on. where he kind of touched on like the grassroots rally and, you know, the clubman level competitors. And I tell you something, there's absolutely no rallying without these competitors. These are the absolute, you know, heart and blood and soul of these events. I can tell you that for sure. There's no event if 10 of us spend thousands, tens of thousands of pounds to go out and go super fast in these fancy cars, because if the rest of them don't turn up, then there's no entry fees paid for, you know, all that is included in the rally organising event. So, you know, as far as kind of like the sponsorship side of it and stuff, I was kind of listening to Damien, and, you know, very, you know, resonated with me a lot of his words there, that, you know, sponsoring and keeping in touch with all these grassroots rally and the folk that can just, they spend the whole year working up to do, you know, 1, 2, 3 events a year. And with Mull being one of those events, you know, it's a huge privilege to have them here. And we really do appreciate everything they do for us and the event.
It's a great summary. I love your passion. It's fantastic. I'm going to touch on asking a few more questions about why are the drivers notorious Mull or people that grow up on Mull, why they're such fast drivers, because we've got a few previous overall winners of some great drivers that live on the island.
Is this you trying to chase a bit of the secrets, is it? No, it's, I think it's, when you are around these roads and environment, you know, your whole life, as soon as you get into the car, you're with the L plates on, you're driving around, you're wanting to go out and up and down these roads. I mean, I think when you're driving on single track roads, like for all these years, you become quite sharp because you're coming around the corners and you're looking for an oncoming car and you're getting ready to kind of like stop dead quick, reverse. You know, you've got to kind of be a bit more switched on. But I think I think the nature of the roads is what builds it, and probably like the basic rally community is what also spurs it on. So we've got some, you know, really like fantastic figures. Steve Davis is just an absolute gem of the sport. Steve Davis started up what was called the Derby Bear Cubs. The Bear Cubs, you might have remembered it. It was a little red Corsa B that they had. And Steve Davis got this together in his shed, and he got all the local lads from Derby and got them all involved, and basically just shared his love for the rally and just kind of instilled it in all these, you know, young lads and lasses, you know, and that's what I loved about it. You know, it was purely, there was no like, oh, this is just, you know, get, you know, young lads, this is like a male dominated sport. There was none of that, and that's something that I want to kind of get rid of as well. You know, my ultimate ambition is to have, you know, at the very least a women driver, because I know some dangerously quick women drivers on the islands, but, you know, I want an all-women's team. But I kind of digress. Like Steve Davis and the Bear Cubs, you know, with what he did, he's basically birthed 8 to 10 or even 12 youngsters with that kind of rally fever in them right from the get-go. And what an important part he played in that. You know, so big hats off to him. And then all of our idols, you know, Callum Duffy and Neil McKinnon, and then, you know, huge for me is John McCrone, really fantastic. Paul McKinnon as well, you know, great ambassadors for the sport. But, you know, I kind of grew up loving Callum Duffy, and then kind of moving on, John McCrone was just, you know, to come from Ireland and such raw talent in the guy, and so personable as well, and willing to chat. You know, any rallying attributes or anything that I've done, you know, I've always just sent him a message, or he's messaged me saying, you know, try this or do this or anything. And, you know, there's such a great support from local lads like that. You know, for example, when I do the rally, you know, in the lead up to it, you know, kind of say to John, what do you think I should do? Should you do this or should you do that? And there's no like, oh, you're a competitor to me, then I'm not going to tell you. Maybe it's because he knows he can beat me outright, but I'd like to think, you know, I've got a bit of pace there. So, you know, he's not going to just give away his setups and that straight away, but he will, no problem at all. And I think the ultimate thing is being around these roads. It's just fantastic. You know, if we are bored of a night, we don't go and do, I don't even know what you do in the mainland. What do? You tell me. But, you know, if we are bored, we'll go for a spin out to Derby. We'll do the Loch stage just for a spin, you know, and many a times at night when you're learning all these skills and then you're getting out and then you kind of get really into it and you're walking all these cuts and having a look at it. And, you know, there's absolutely no denying for myself, local knowledge is huge. It's absolutely huge. You know, it can actually sometimes hinder you, which is quite interesting. You know, if you come into 30 mile an hour zones when you're coming into town, so you're rallying through, your brain and your subconscious tells you to slow down because you've always done that. And it's kind of fighting past that, or a bit of road that you know is a bit dodgy because somebody's crashed in the road car or something. You'll back off a bit. And, so it's all these interesting points that put it together. But yeah, it's I'm quite proud that it's kind of birthed a lot of quick drivers, and the new generation are coming up. Big shout out to all the young go-kart drivers in Tobermory, Benesson, and all round the island. We've got a small fleet of them all getting involved in go-karting, and that's that's where my kind of roots come from. I did probably 4 or 5 years go-karting around Britain, and that's kind of helped form me into quite a smooth driver, I would say. So big hats off to these young lads, and if they ever want a help, they know where I am. Just give us a shout, and I'll be right along to spur you on, give you some setups, and we'll all have good fun and get a good bit of pace behind the young team.
Okay, talking about good drivers, I've got a local friend of mine, Daniel Harper. He's okay on that island, isn't he? He only lives 2 miles away from me, so I know Daniel really well. And he's quick up there. Obviously, it wasn't his year this year. It would be hard to beat him. But what I want to talk about now is technology in the car that you chose. And you're not going to have, I don't even know what practice time you had, but let's call it an R5. Basically, you're in a 4-wheel drive R5 car, Rally 2. Daniel's in a really similar car, albeit it's a hybrid one. What's it like to drive those cars on the island, and how much practice did you get, and how easy are they to drive? Because a really impressive part of your performance is that you didn't crash. I've got an R5 car. I know that it's pretty easy to overdrive the cars and get too excited. And the combination of putting a young driver on a road he knows with little experience in an R5 car, you've done really well not to just get too excited. So big compliments for you to keep yourself under control and pace yourself. But what was it like, actually? Did you aim to win, first of all? And what's it been like getting used to an R5 car?
Yeah, no, thank you very much for your comments. I really appreciate those those kind words. Obviously, as you said, that was our first time in the R5 or the Rally 2 car. We had 2 outings in the last 2 years in the Subaru, which was quite heavy and a bit sluggish. It served a purpose and kind of was all about just kind of like driving smooth and that kind of like armchair rally, and just plenty of torque to dig yourself out of any issues. So that was quite a good progression to kind of jump up from the 2-wheel drive into the 4-wheel drive. To be honest, jumping into the Rally 2 car, there was times where I watched John McCrone's in car and I thought, oh my God, there's not a chance on this earth that I can drive to that level. Coming over, extremely committed. It's snapping on him sideways and he's catching it and he's not scared of it one bit. And I thought, my God, realistically, I don't think I can do that. Before the rally, I've got no experience in the car. We went over and did about 10 or 12 miles in a road in Northern Ireland over with the chaps. And then we came over and then it was into the shakedown and to get into the car. And to be honest, I felt very comfortable in the car very quickly. I was extremely surprised. And I think a lot of that is down to the work that I put into the simulator. So I can't, afford to do all this, but that's absolutely fine. I can't afford to be rallying this every weekend. That's okay. That's no problem. So I've got to use my assets, what I've got to my advantage. And those are 2 things. Those are the simulator and my local knowledge. I need to capitalize on these 2 things if I'm going to be anywhere and do a sensible drive. So the simulator, as soon as I went in the car, I found it, extremely kind of familiar, actually, believe it or not. The crossover from the simulator into the car was really quite similar. One thing I did find was in the simulator, the car tended to understeer quite a lot, and I struggled to adjust the setup to counteract that. So I was concerned that I was going to have that issue. And a lot of people said, with the anti-lag system in the Rally 2 car, that you're going to really push into the corners. Now, that certainly was the case, but over the course of the weekend, I managed to learn quite quickly in the mechanics of the car. And then I had to just be bold and get confident in myself with adjusting the setup in an unfamiliar car. To be honest, I was just winging it. I was like, I don't know, it feels a bit too floaty. Let's just try and stiffen up and see what happens. We've got nothing to lose. And then the anti-lag settings, it was set, in mode 6, which is the most aggressive for all of it. I learned that if I get to a certain bit where I know it's going to be kind of tight ahead, we're dropping that down to 5 and 4, just to stop the nose pushing on and putting a lot of heat into the brakes, which then goes into the tyres. You then overheat the tyres. So I found it, the mechanics of it, I found it so interesting and so fun to drive. I think you kind of said, like, what was your, aspirations, or how did you think you were going to get on in the car? I think, my mates can kind of back me up, that I'd said to them, once the entry list came out and I seen who was doing it and, the cars that are involved, I says, I realistically think that I can get third place. I was fairly confident that if I put in a good steady drive, I can get third place. My game plan before the rally was third place. It was anywhere on the podium. I didn't care. As long as I was behind the pipe along the main street, that was job's a good one, in my opinion. I did want to win at least one stage, which obviously we ended up doing it. But it's such a shame, the misfortune of John going out with the mechanical fail. I would have loved to have seen over the course of the weekend, can I bring it closer to him? And yeah, as far as talking about the machinery and kind of moving swiftly on to Daniel Harper, first of all, big shout out, what a fantastic guy. And what we really enjoyed rallying with Daniel was that they're still up for a laugh. It's not too serious. They're not helmets off and not talking to you. They come over, they give you, a bit of a wind up, say, oh, well, you bit a bit rubbish in there, didn't you? Or, oh, that was a bit good, or that was a bit bad. And I love all that. That's what rallying's about at the end of the day. But you know what, like, well, you can speak to Dan and see what he says after it. He'll probably give me a bit of nonsense for this. But, I did feel that as I started to get a feel for the car during the Saturday day, I managed to, I was faster than him by 7 seconds in the loss, but that was because he had a moment. So, but maybe that was because I was pushing him into that pace and, he was overdriving it. Who knows? And that may have been the demise of that wheel bearing. It might have had a few more excursions, or it could have just been mechanical. It was, a real shame that both John McCrone and Dan Harper went out, because I would have had perhaps just the same feeling, satisfied feeling if I came third place behind those two and had won 2 stages. I would have been over the moon. If I can get onto that pace and know, look, I'm in there. If I can afford to spend 30 grand a year for the next 3 years, then, I would like to think that I can win it. We managed to do that this year, so thankfully for my bank account, that's kind of sorted that. But a kind of interesting thing just to point out was the psychology of myself and how these things kind of came about. So trying to be kind of dangerously optimistic and really push yourself. I love that. That's the heart of it all. You've got to believe in yourself, and that come in spades from Craig. It was absolutely fantastic, and the team around me. And I kind of written on my phone that you can win the Mull Rally. That was on my screensaver, because I kind of had to just get that in and start believing it, Now, after I won the rally, I thought there's an interesting part of psychology there. The terminology that I used, I can win the Mull Rally rather than I will win it. So I knew in myself that I can win it and give it 3 years and some more seat time and a bit more cash. But, I wasn't necessarily thinking that I was going to win it straight away. So very thankful that I did. Fantastic bits of kit. That Rally 2 car is an amazing bit of kit. The way it corners, the way it handles, on the brakes, the acceleration is fantastic. Dan Harper, huge amount of seat time in that car. He knows it inside and out. It's got more power, it's quicker, but perhaps doesn't corner, and the mechanics are perhaps not quite as good. So it kind of evens out there, I would say, with his seat time, and, such a fantastic driver. And, Daniel Harper's a local to Mull, let's be honest. He's been up here enough. He's come up. He knows where he's going in the dark. You can't be pulling that local knowledge carry on with us, with Dan. He knows where he's going. So, what a privilege to rally against these lads and these cars, and what a beautiful bunch of cars we had. But yeah, looking to next year, let's see. I dare say the Vikings will return. Let me just say that, and we will be there with the one on the side, whether it be an old 106, and they might have to reseed us a little bit, not too far back, or I don't know, maybe a Mark II Escort or a Rally 2 car. Who knows? I'll leave it up to you to kind of speculate on that one. But let's just say we will be back to kind of try our best to reclaim that title.
Really, really interesting story, and just letting you talk there is fantastic. It reminds me of a conversation I was actually having with a sponsor actually from Richard Burns's era. So David Williams, shout out to David if he ever listens to this. And we were chatting about why Richard Burns was good and actually different to me when we were competing against each other. And what David remembered as a sponsor is that Richard never damaged the car. And I knew that because his consistent performances. But as a sponsor, David's big memory was that even if it was a Group N car, it was a challenge car, it was very well thought out, and he got all his speed through nice, immaculate, well thought out driving, mainly because it was never Richard's car. But because of that attitude, he won a lot, and he pushed other people that might have been fractionally quicker into making mistakes and being harder on their car. And therefore, results always came Richard's way. And that's not to degrade his performance. He was just a clever, intelligent approach to his driving, his winning. And you've reflected exactly the same attitude. So you don't in any way underestimate what you just said, in that put in people that might be a bit more aggressive. If you push those to running on their limit, they will have a mechanical problem. So there's you should be every bit as proud as being able to manipulate an intelligent win as you do by a raw outright victory that's done through aggression. So, well done and compliments to you. Never apologise for winning, because however you do that is a good win. So don't apologise for it. Just tell Daniel you kicked his arse one way or the other. An amazing driver. Should be really proud of what you've achieved this year. And massive compliments to your skills in media and putting motorsport in a positive light, and obviously achieving what you did as far as the driver is concerned. You can be proud of that, but be just as proud as your enthusiasm, and you're a shining light for our sport. So well done. See you next time, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.